Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something incredible to take a look at because we have our very first of quite a few apparently. From the X Plus line, their model kit series, we have a Jurassic Park model as we have the Tyrannosaurus Rex in 1/35th scale, and this looks awesome. Like, when they had first unveiled this, I was so over the moon excited to see something like this coming from X Plus, and just generally to have Jurassic Park models from them was really cool, but to have them in model kit form, in my opinion, is also really cool because I love their model kits. I have a few of them in my collection, but no Jurassic Park ones clearly because this is the first one, and on top of that, it creates a super cool scene of Ian Malcolm running from Rexy, you know, of course, in Jurassic Park, and it looks really cool here on the front of the box. The box in general is gorgeous, you know. I sometimes have to throw my boxes away just because I don't have enough room to keep, you know, all of the boxes of all the different figures, but this box here might have to stay with me. I don't know, that's just really nice looking. On top of that, when it comes to the prototype that X Plus had shown off, I think the paintwork looks pretty good on theirs. You know, maybe not picture perfect to what Rexy looks like, but definitely pretty good overall. I'm going to be painting mine a bit different than what I see on theirs, but it still looks pretty nice. But again, the box definitely shows off all kinds of really cool images of the model. That right there shows how cool looking that head sculpt there is for the T-Rex. But here on the front of the box, again, you've got quite a few different views of the model, and of course Ian over here running with his flare. So definitely excited about this, cannot wait to pop it open and get to work on it. But before we actually do, we're going to go ahead, pop this box open, and check out all of the pieces that we have inside. So you've got the instructions and everything that you might need to assemble it, so straight away that's always a good thing to have. But on top of that, you have a whole bunch of different parts in here that we are going to need to use. I would imagine those are the wires for our paddock fence. But if we set it over here, you can see, again, you've got tons of different pieces in here so that we can assemble our model. Wow, there's a whole lot in here, and definitely a lot to do when it comes to building this. And then we also have the base in here as well, which also looks really cool. And it looks like we actually, for some reason, have double the instructions, maybe? I'm not really sure, but there's something back there that looks like what we've already seen. But definitely, again, a lot sitting here, a lot to get through. So what I'm going to do is break all of these open. I'm going to build the T-Rex, and then we're going to come back and take a closer look at it before I get it painted up. So here is the kit now fully assembled and, you know, not totally ready for paintwork because I've got some seams and stuff to fill, but it looks awesome. And one thing that I didn't know prior that I do like is the fact that they actually give you a separate base for the T-Rex. So you can put the T-Rex on this base if you don't want to have it on the larger base. You can just have it on this one little area of kind of like mud, and it's got the footprint and stuff. So you have the choice of, you know, keeping your Rex on here or putting it on that smaller base. But again, once the scene is kind of put together, it looks awesome, and the T-Rex is super well done. Like, way better than I was expecting it to be. Definitely impressive. Again, on another level. And now I don't really have very many X Plus model kits. I do have a few kaiju ones, not many, very, very few, but like some Gamera and stuff like that. But this is, again, the first time that I think I have acquired an X Plus dinosaur kit, and straight out of the gate, when it comes to a Jurassic Park kit, this thing is absolutely awesome. The T-Rex looks great, Ian looks great, the entire base looks great, and I'm very excited to get some paintwork on this and check it out when it's fully finished. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and get a closer look at it, so let's jump to it right now. So we will begin with the T-Rex herself, and of course that's because she is the star of the show. Now you can see, again, fine detail-wise, this thing is gorgeous. Look at how good the skin detail, the skin texture, and everything looks on the face of this Rex. There is just so much detail on here. It honestly looks, you know, significantly better than most JP Tyrannosaurs look. You can see the mouth is sculpted in an open position because the Rex is pursuing Ian at this point. You've got some nice looking fine detail there to the skin there stretching on the inside of the mouth. You've also got the tongue sticking up, which looks very nice. The teeth are all sculpted individually. They all look very, very good. You can see the inside of the mouth as well. is pretty nicely done. There you go. You can get a nice shot of the inside of the mouth on the upper side. Again, how good the detailing aspect looks on the inside here is also very impressive. And another thing that I think is really nice about this kit is, for the most part, the pieces fit together really, really beautifully. Like here in the face, there was quite a few parts you had to assemble, like the teeth and, just like the inside of the mouth in general, the tongue, the sides of the, skin here of the mouth, and all of it goes together like seamlessly. You can barely notice any seams at all, maybe slightly here and there, but for the most part it looks really, really good. You will see more seams as we move through. They become a little more obvious, but even still as you move through, I think for the most part the seams on these are pretty good. So if you're not too good at, filling the seams up or covering them up, it's not that big of a deal when it comes to a model kit like this, because I still think it would look great. But up here on the top of the head, again, the actual fine detail looks really good. Look how vibrant that scale detail looks. As you move down the course of the neck, you can see the spinal column up here kind of elaborated through the skin. You've also got lots of creases and really nice scale detail, as well as skin wrinkles and folds as you move down here further to the underside of the neck and throat region. We have a nice tilt in the head of the Rex as the Rex is pursuing Ian, which you can see there. Again, definitely giving it a nice dynamic appearance. As you move back, you've got the arms sculpted out pretty nicely, held kind of into the body, but in a slightly different position on each side. You can see the right arm is held in a little bit closer to the body, more so than the left arm. You've also got the very nicely sculpted nails there. Again, they have a pretty genuine sharp look to them, which is very good to see. You can see again that the arm was connected, and there's actually quite a few pieces, like you have to connect the finger and then the arm and stuff. Like even still, again, you can see it looks really good. You almost don't even notice a lot of the seams, and obviously you can see the seam where the neck was connected, but even that, again, once it's painted, I really don't think you notice it that much. So filling the seams in most areas aren't really something that you absolutely need to do. As you lead back here into the stomach a little further, you can definitely see the spinal column there. Some more kind of larger scales here on the underside, some nice skin wrinkles there in front of the leg. As you move up, you can again see the spinal column here moving along the back, a few kind of bumpier, almost osteoderm-like scales poking up here and there. And then as you move back here, you can see the hip bone and everything, and that row of scoots that kind of move over the top of the hip bone, something that you definitely see on the Jurassic Park T-Rex. You've got very impressive musculature here in the thigh of the Rex as you move down, and all of the sculpting of that aspect is really well done. You've got the knee right there, big bulging calf muscle as the T-Rex is kind of picking that leg up and flexing the muscles. You can definitely see that very nicely in the sculpt. Again, clusters of scales here in the front of the leg moving down the shin. You've got a beautiful curve here to the foot of the T-Rex as it's kind of, charging after Ian. Very nice scoots down the front of the toes. The nails are also sculpted very nicely. Again, I am so hyped to get some paintwork on this. I can only imagine how beautiful this is going to be. And then as you lead up here into the tail, again, you have all kinds of creasing and stuff as you move out through the length of the tail. Some larger scales down here, some nice skin wrinkles and stuff as you move out. And then as you lead out, you can see a few areas again where the tail's been kind of connected to, complete the figure. But yet again, once you add some paintwork, I feel like it's not going to be nearly as noticeable as it is currently, because you can kind of see how the glue has bled out and dried a little bit here and there. On the underside, you can see some larger scale detail, and one thing that I always look for on a Jurassic Park T-Rex is this style of scale detail to the underside of the stomach moving into the chest, because it is something that you always see on Rexy, or any Jurassic Park T-Rex for that matter, and X Plus again captured it perfectly here on their model, so kudos to them for really doing their homework and making sure that this is as screen accurate as it possibly could be. Again, you can get a nice idea of what the head sculpt looks like over here on the opposing side. The head is now turned away from us, and you can probably get a little bit of a better look at the tilt in the neck and everything on this side. You can see the arm again held in a slightly different position from what we see on the initial side. Again, the stomach region looks very good when it comes to the fine detail. When we get nice and close, look at how impressive the skin texture of this Rex really is. Definitely one of the best sculpted Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurs I've ever seen. This leg over here, you can see, is still currently in the midst of running, just like we see on the other side there, but this leg is definitely a little bit more planted, but you can almost already see how the toes are kind of picking up off of the ground as the Rex is going to continue to move forward after Ian and pick up a little bit of speed. speed. You can see the nails and everything. Again, the foot sculpt looks very nice as you lead down. You can also see the dew claw and everything there on the opposing side. And then as we lead back up here into the tail again, you can see pretty much the same thing. The tail kind of curves toward us a little bit, but nothing that would be super drastically different than what we had seen on the initial side. So the T-Rex itself is beyond beautiful. And then you can see we have Ian here, and Ian is obviously running away from the T-Rex, kind of giving that look back, just like you do see in the film. He's got the flare up here in his hands, and the flame also looks pretty good. I'm a little intimidated to paint Ian because I don't paint human figures very often, so I don't know how good that's going to go, but I will keep my fingers crossed that it doesn't look terrible. But you can see again, as far as his outfit and everything goes, he looks really good. He's got his glasses on. You can see the hair is sculpted really nicely, a lot of like movement and life in the hair, a lot of wrinkles and stuff to his clothing as well. Again, just really giving him that very screen accurate appearance as far as the way he looks in Jurassic Park. So again, even though he looks incredible, I'm a little worried about how good he's going to turn out with my painting skill because I don't paint humans very often, but I guess we'll see. We've also got a nice little Jurassic Park logo that you can put here on the front of the base, and you can see again kind of like a nice earthy area here around it, and then the Jurassic Park logo itself, and that would attach right here. And then you, of course, have the base itself, which you can see there's a nice little trackway, of course, for our explorers to move through, our Ford Explorers. And then as you lead here through the course of the base, you can see, again, that nice kind of muddy look that we have, because during this scene it is raining, so it would definitely have that muddy look. You can see the footprints of the T-Rex are very nicely done. And I love the fact that you have, like, the muddy areas, but you also have, like, some puddles that they've kind of sculpted out for you. So that looks really cool. Definitely like the addition of having the puddles themselves here. Pretty excited in general to get the base painted up. And then of course you actually have the back of the base here. You can see we've got like some vegetation, like a leaf that has fallen down here. Well, actually more like a branch that has fallen down here. And then you've also got the areas here to connect the posts to complete the scene. And I'm just as excited to get this painted up as I am with everything else in this set. So this is the point in the review where we're going to go ahead and do just that. So let's get this built and painted fully, and then we'll come back and check it out from there. And here is the, if I'm careful enough without breaking it, fully finished and fully painted base that we have here. You can see again we've got it now given that kind of muddy sort of a look, exactly as you see in Jurassic Park when this scene is occurring. We have the trackway painted out and everything. I don't have the logo here quite yet. I have it down here, I just haven't applied it because I didn't want it to get in the way here while we were taking a look at it. You can see we've also got the puddles and everything back there painted out and kind of given that water-like look, and pretty much the same thing here as you move through. Again, you can see again that we've got the trackway, all of the mud and everything, and you can also see as we move back here we've got the paddock here, the fence and everything. You can see I tried my best to sort of give it like, a little variation of color, make it look as realistic as I possibly can, as similar as I could to what you do see in Jurassic Park, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I think it looks, fairly decent, especially considering I don't normally paint things like that. Same deal for the fence posts, and then of course all of the actual wire here on the fence I tried to make look a little bit saggy and stuff, as obviously the Rex is kind of broken through and caused the wires to sag, and hopefully I've achieved that at least decent enough to make it kind of look realistic. And then of course you also have like the lights and everything up here, which my camera doesn't want to focus on. You can see the lights and everything, and there's just little things on the fence that you don't even realize are painted. Like, let me see if I can turn this around without breaking anything. I never realized that the little hooks back here, you can see there's actual coloration running down until I had actually watched the film again, watched that part a few times to kind of take notice to that. There's also this, kind of a piece of a tree, like a little branch and with some leaves and stuff that has fallen down here, which took a little while to paint because you have to be very careful, some precision when it comes to painting that. But I also painted, of course, the back of the paddock and everything, just like I had painted the front. So I'm really quite happy actually with this, and I'm very excited to see the Rex on the base. I haven't actually applied everything to the base quite yet because I just wanted to wait until we had everything fully finished, and of course for the review itself. And then we've also got Ian. Now, I am not very good at painting human beings. In fact, I think outside of the one figure that Arctic Figures had released when it comes to Spear, I don't think I've ever painted a human before, if I can recall. So it was a little bit of a task, kind of outside of my comfort zone when it comes to Ian, painting something a little bit different. And even the actual flare and everything up here, I was a little concerned with painting because I wanted to give it that kind of fire-like look. So I sort of tried to apply like a gloss coat to the fiery area there and try to make it look at least different from the flare itself. And I think I achieved it pretty decently. But I was actually pretty happy with Ian as well because, again, considering I don't normally paint human beings, and I really haven't outside of one time before, I was pretty happy with the way he turned out. I also added some mud that wasn't actually on the model, but I added mud to the underside of his shoe because obviously he's running in the mud, so I wanted to make that as well look, as close to probably what would be occurring in the film. So again, pretty happy with the way Ian turned out, even though he's very small. And then we've also got this little section that has the Jurassic Park logo, which I'm also pretty happy with. I think that also looks pretty decent. Tried to give the entire thing, again, that kind of muddy-like look, and then paint the logo out as best as I can. And of course, the star of the show is Rexy herself, and also pretty happy with the paintwork on this one. I actually think this might be, maybe in my opinion, the best Rex that I've painted overall when it comes to my actual paint application and matching up to what you see in Jurassic Park. I was actually quite happy with the final result of this one, and used the Dinosaur style guide heavily to achieve the paint apps for this one. I wanted to make it look as close as I could to what you see in the film, and again, it is an absolutely incredible sculpt. Like, X Plus did a great job on this. You can see every ounce of this is, again, extremely highly detailed. On top of this being, one of my favorite paint jobs when it comes to the T-Rex, which I'm not always the happiest with my paint jobs, but this one I thought turned out, fairly decent. But again, I think this is definitely one of my favorite Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurs in my collection, like my favorite Rexy models, because it is just so spot on to the way she looks in the film. I feel like they did such a tremendous job on the actual sculpt of this, and really nailed the look of Rexy, of the Jurassic Park T-Rex, Roberta, whatever you want to call her. And again, as you move through and you look at it with actual paintwork on it, you really can see how impressive the figure is as a whole. The worst part for this one was kind of trying to go back and fill in all the seams, because it is a plastic model kit, so there are a lot of seams to fill in when you are, of course, continuing on with the model, progressing with it. And there are actually a few little seams here and there that I didn't perfectly catch. There's so many, I think I just missed them, but I'm not going to go back now. It's just too late. I think it looks good enough as it is, and honestly, the entire thing I think is going to look extremely, extremely cool once we get Rexy on the platform, throw Ian on there, and attach that Jurassic Park logo there. So again, definitely let me know in the comments section what you guys think of the paint apps and if they turned out good enough. But otherwise, let's go ahead and throw these on the base and check it all out together. Now, when it comes to the pieces of this puzzle, you again have Ian. Ian has a little peg here on the underside of his foot. You just have to find that spot exactly, which I'm a little bit further back. Oh, I'm not even in the right spot. There we go. From back here, it looked like there was a different spot. But now we have Ian in the spot that he should be in. And then, of course, we also have Rexy. Rexy also has that kind of peg sort of thing going on here on the underside of her foot. Probably will end up, gluing these on just because I want to make sure. Again, it's really hard to see it from back here. I just want to make sure that, oh, there we go. They are on as good as they should be, and there's the entire thing complete. You know what, I'm just going to keep the logo off for now. We'll throw it on at the end because I don't want to obscure the view of this, but there is the entire scene now, complete for the most part outside of the logo. And look at how cool that looks. Like, talk about one of the most epic X Plus model kits I think I've ever seen. Really nicely depicting that scene in Jurassic Park where, Ian jumps out of the Explorer and pulls the flare out to sort of take the Rex away from Alan and the kids so Alan can help the children and get them out of the Explorer. But man, is that ever impressive. And the entire sculpt of the Rex is just so nice looking now, added onto the base, with the 1 foot up off of the ground as it's running along. I also actually didn't mention it before, but I also added mud to the underside of the foot of Rexy just to kind of give her, again, a little bit more of a realistic look, again, to have that sort of muddy look there, just like Ian has. So little things like that I always enjoy. I always try to add little elements of realism to the stuff that I build and paint. As far as a length on the base, you're looking at about like 11 3/4 inches, closing in on a foot but not quite, or around 30 centimeters, and that's from this little extended area to here. And then as far as Rexy goes, you are looking at about 15 inches, maybe a little over, maybe about 38.5 centimeters. And then, of course, Ian's quite small. If we stand here on the base next to him, about 2 1/4 inches or 5.5 centimeters. And the highest point of the entire thing overall would be this little fence post back here. And you were looking at about 7 inches or just shy of about 18 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. And you can see that the model isn't huge. I believe it's in 1/35th scale, so it's kind of, you know, a good size range to have a model like this in. But you can see specifically with Mr. Papo Rex and the X Plus version of Rexy here, they're very similar in size. Like if the Papo Rex were in the position that the X Plus version is, I think they'd be pretty much the same size, especially when you just look in general at the sizes of the head and everything. They are very similar in size. Obviously, nobody else, though, in this scene here that we have as far as our comparisons go, none of the others are to scale with what we have here. We've also got a Mattel Velociraptor stepping in here for another comparison, which again you can see the Rex isn't absolutely huge, but still very nicely sized. And I'm not going to do too many comparisons, but for one final one here, just to kind of give you an idea of a size. If you are a collector of dinosaur figures like I am, you'll probably have a pretty good idea as far as what the 1/35th scale size range of a T-Rex is. But if not, here is a comparison with the newest release from Nanmu, the newest Rexy model that they have out. Again, you can see definitely a lot larger when it comes to the Nanmu version compared to the newer X Plus version. So this brand new X Plus Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus attack scene here, the escape scene, I'm not too sure what you want to call it, but this diorama they have released is as epic as it honestly can get. The sculpt of everything on this is so highly detailed, so nicely detailed, and just again replicates and creates the, you know, most iconic, I would say, scene, or at least one of the most iconic scenes from Jurassic Park so perfectly. I can't even begin to express how cool this model is. The sculpt of the Tyrannosaurus is fantastic. I feel like it's very screen accurate. Looks pretty much just like the Tyrannosaur in Jurassic Park, almost like it jumped straight out of the screen and onto my review station here. They absolutely hammered out a very impressive sculpt, not just in the general appearance, but also when it comes to the fine detail. The fine detail is really well done. There's all kinds of skin wrinkles, muscle definition, all the things that you would want to see, as well as, again, of course, you know, scale detail and, you know, creases in the skin, everything you would want to see on a real living dinosaur, or even specifically on the Jurassic Park T-Rex. They've sculpted it out perfectly when it comes to all of that. Again, giving me one of the nicest looking Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurs in my collection. Ian also looks really quite nice, and considering how small the figure is, he's got a pretty impressive likeness to Jeff Goldblum. And also, again, the fact that he's included in here with the Rex running after him. Like I said, one of the most iconic scenes in Jurassic Park, and they've just captured it so nicely here. The base as well looks great. I love the fact that we have the trackway there for the Ford Explorer. I also love the very nice muddy look that they have to the base, as well as including, you know, the puddles and stuff on there, which are actually sculpted into the model itself. Just a really nice looking base. And you also, of course, have the paddock fence back there, which is really cool and actually quite easy to paint. I was very intimidated coming into painting this because I've never painted, you know, a base like this with the paddock fence and everything. Like, I've never worked on anything quite to this extent that has so much stuff outside of the dinosaurs that isn't just like a nice earthy area or anything like that. So I was a little intimidated by it, but I was actually really happy with how good the fine detail is on everything, making it pretty easy to paint. And, you know, attaching the wires and everything was also really quite easy. I actually glued my wires on. but that as well was no task whatsoever. So as a whole, this is easily one of the coolest models in my collection, something that I am beyond excited about, and now I eagerly await the release of the other upcoming X Plus Jurassic Park models, as they have a Spinosaurus as well as a Velociraptor Blue and Beta coming out. So cannot wait specifically for the Spinosaurus one, but cannot wait in general to see more of these X Plus models. If you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine on Big Bad Toy Store. So make sure you check that link, go grab this amazing release from X Plus, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.